Right, for the people in person, thank you guys so much for joining today's meeting. And this is going to be the last workshop of the semester. So thank you guys so much for being part of this journey. And hopefully we can end it up with a fun activity today. No other announcements than that. I think perspective of like everyone's little groups, I think everyone has their own plans. So you'll probably hear from your directors or leads about that. And we'll probably be resuming regular meetings and other scheduled things in the next semester as well. So hopefully you guys are able to see the announcement when we make that on our Discord. So other than that, if you haven't filled out the sign-in form, please do so. But I think we should be good to go ahead and start. So Matthew, if you want to take it away from here, that should be.
Just let me close my Discord really quick. I didn't copy one of the links down to my Safari window. So just let me close my Discord.
For sure. Thank you.
Copy and close, copy link and close. And paste this bad boy in here. Go there.
Oh, yeah, also I have to help Tommy get some stuff in a bit, so I might leave for a while.
Okay, sure thing, sure thing. Let me. So for those of you guys, wait a second. Let me get desktop 2 in the frame and we good. Can you see my Safari window, everybody?
Works with us.
Yeah, so you guys can see my Safari window fine.
Yeah, we're able to see.
Okay, good. So first off, what I want you guys to do is I want you guys to start downloading this image while I go over how to use everything here today. It's gonna be a bit big. It's 20 gigabytes or about 20 gigabytes to bring down. So
Or
just
sorry,
click the link in the Discord server to the image by this name, the image for 17th of November.
it's on the Discord, right?
Yeah, it's on the Discord under workshops. I made sure to put everything under there. And so once you got that going, let's see. So also make sure that you have an extractor installed if you're on Windows. But if you're on Mac, it'll be fine for you because just by double clicking it on in your what's it called? In your Finder here. So this is what the ooh, yeah, this is what it looked like for me when I downloaded it or before I uploaded it to Google Drive. This is the folder itself. So just by double clicking it, it'll open that to expand. And we'll let that work. It shouldn't take too long to do it since this is Apple Silicon we're talking about and does it really quick. And so some of the apps that we're going to be using once this gets extracted or in parallel while this is getting extracted, we're gonna be using this iLeap app in order to help us process it, help us do some things with the processing. So this document is also in the Discord server. I think the second link in the Discord server. So once you get this open and you click the link here, it'll take you to this page, to the releases page. And so this latest version from 2 days ago is the one that you're gonna get. So, so if you're on Mac, download either of these DMG files for easy access. And if you're on Windows, you'll download this one. And if you're under Windows, once you have that downloaded, you can open the executable file and run it anyway, and you'll get something like this. So in my case, since I'm on a Mac, it says yes. And it pins it, so you'll see something like this for the image or for the processing. So 291 out of 321. You could just select all of the artifacts. This might take a while for you. Oh, it's done. So yeah, once it's done, you'll get a folder like this with private, named private. So this is the root directory of our thing, and it contains these directories, which we will go into later on. And so back to iLeap, what I want you to do is, since you have that image file right there, that's a tar zipped file, you're going to want to click this browse file button and just go to wherever you downloaded it to and open it up. And then after that, you're gonna press to put it into images. And on this line right here for the output, select output folder, you're gonna select the folder that you want it to go to. And so I just put it in my basic images folder. And then after you select all of these by pressing the select all button like I did, you're going to select process. And we'll just let that run a little bit. Oh, we let it process. And in the meantime, we'll go back here and do other things. So there's going to be a bunch of different files that we're going to have in here in this. So one of the types of files that we need to run with is a plist. So for those of you guys that are on Mac, I want you guys to just download Xcode because that's the easiest way to open up this stuff. And that's what I have. So you'll go to the App Store most likely and download Xcode from there. And once everything is done with Xcode, or better yet, let me just show you. So once it's all set up, you'll get something like this, but you can just go ahead and close it after everything necessary is downloaded. And we will need that later. So just have it set up. And actually, so if you see a plist file and you're on a Mac and you open it, it'll automatically go to your plist editor in from your Xcode, which is pretty cool. And you can also go to this xplist editor thing and download either of these for Mac or for Windows. And you'll be able to use that just fine as well. Just drag it in, and you can do with them as you please. So there's also databases that we have looked at before. So last week, I think Saul went with you guys or went over with you guys the DB browser thing. And if you guys haven't gotten that one yet, you can go here inside the document to the DB browser for SQLite page. And you can download the app for either Windows or for Mac. Mac down here and Windows down here, and then for Mac, this will give you it'll give you a DMG file, which will be easier for you to install onto your machine. And once it's installed, at least on a Mac, it'll look something like this. And we'll be able to use this later on to open databases that we see. Yeah, so that's what it looks like. And when you open a database, it'll automatically open you to a page that looks like this with all the SQL queries that it looks at. And then we'll be able to see more stuff like this later on. And one thing that we can also find in it later on is that there's some files hidden inside. Okay, better yet, let me stop getting ahead of myself. So, so SQL is a programming language, as you guys will remember from the lectures or from the presentation that Saul gave last week. And the data types within the SQL language are integers, strings, binary large objects, and a very cool null data type, which is just nothing. But one of the most interesting data types for us here is a blob or binary large object. So you'll just remember that. And sometimes within our databases, we'll see blobs like this in Knowledge C, which we will go over later on. And luckily for us, if we click on this blob right here, we'll be able to see all of the data within it, and we will also be able to extract it. And we could see certain things that might be helpful to us in an investigation, for instance. And speaking of this hex view right here, there's also hex editors and hex viewers that you may see. So on Mac, I think within the terminal, let me go over back here to my window over here. I'll make it easier on myself. Let's go to, and so if we go up here to this and drag a file, say this one in, we can find the hex view of it right here. And we'll be able to see what it looks like. But sometimes there are larger files than this one that we'll have to go through. And there are some commands for that. Let me see if I have any saved up right here. So if you want to get the top parts of it, well, you can redirect this into head if you have XXD on your machine, and that'll give you the first 10 lines of it. And if you redirect it into tail, conversely, that will give you the last few lines of it. And if you have this one right here with XXD downloads, challenge file. Yeah, hidden tail XXD. If you do some command formatted like this, you'll be able to see a certain number of lines on it. But then on Windows, I included a graphical viewer of the hex right here with XX or HXD. And if you click that link, it'll give you the executable for HXD hex editor. And once you do that, once you open the HXD hex editor, you can open a file just by doing file open and just find the file. And you'll be able to see something similar to this one. And once you open it, you can open like that. And then there are several tools here with this editor. You can change encodings and stuff like that. You can change the base offset. You can change the amount of bits or bits or bytes in a row and whatever. If you should ever need them. So this is it for this document. And for the CTF questions, for those of you who have, okay, first of all now, if you guys can hear me from the classroom, how many of you guys have the image downloaded already and fully extracted? If you can hear me, just come up to the podium and talk into the mic. Okay, I didn't hear that, so you probably have it, I would guess. So yeah, what you see on the screen now is the questions, and you guys have access to this too from the link on the Discord server that I provided for you guys.
Oh, Matt, yeah, sorry, I just realized the Zoom meeting was muted. It was all of us in class.
Hmm?
All of us in the class had it done.
The what? Can you repeat that?
All of us in person have the image already done.
Okay, the image is already downloaded for all you in-person people. Okay, that's awesome. Awesome. So now, as you've seen, okay, now let's go into the output of iLeap first. So when iLeap is done, like it was for me, you get you get a nice page like this with a lot of stuff on it that you could just sift through on your own time while I'm going through this. And some of these data can help you answer some of the questions because I know some of them are on here. And if you do some looking and some stuff with the search bar right here, you'll be able to find them no problem. Or you'll be able to find some of the things no problem. And so as you can see, if you go down, there's a lot of very key information here, like Bluetooth stuff. And down the line, there's Wi-Fi connections, and I believe data transmitted over Wi-Fi, as well as stuff from photos, stuff from app activity, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But I won't go into all of that right now because we have already been here for half an hour and I want to get through a lot of talking about the image that I provided for you. So a little bit of backstory on this image. As might have been alluded to during the meeting on Tuesday, this image is an image from an iPhone 8 Plus, and this iPhone 8 Plus was jailbroken. So what you'll be able to see here from the jailbroken iPhone is there's not only the private var directory, which contains all the user information, there's also an etc folder, there's also a preboot folder, which most likely contains the extra operating system that was downloaded onto the phone from the exploit that that I used to actually jailbreak it to be able to get the image out of it. And we also have system data, which has nothing inside it. Yeah, this folder right here should contain some of the stuff for jailbreak. Yeah, the actual jailbreak Linux system, the Linux kernel for the jailbreak, as you can see with all of these root folders. And there's other stuff, but we won't go too much into that or nothing in here. But so we mostly want to see the structure and how some of this stuff looks in the var folder. So there's a bunch of stuff like this buddy folder right here, which has nothing, but that would most likely contain stuff related to the purple buddy procedure on the iPhone, which is what helps it spring itself up when it starts up, and there's a bunch of other things with startup. And there's this DB folder right here, which contains logs and databases for a lot of the processes and other routines that this phone does on a regular basis. So you can see there's data for battery information. Which you can see here, cycle count 19. You can see in this case, in this file right here from with battery information inside it, it has a nice little timestamp right on this column up here. And then it shows us the changes in voltage and the nominal charge capacity, which is how much power the battery can hold. And yeah, there's a lot more of this data about battery in here. Time D. So, and this is one of the p-lists in the time D daemon, which helps us look at the time. I cannot, or that keeps track of time. I do not understand what this is. Yeah, but it does have UUIDs of, I believe, the host device and, yeah, of the host process and the boot device. And you can see a lot more here. Endure Cleaner has nothing. And so install D is where we will find some of our first information. So in this last build info plist is where I would get one of the answers for the CTF questions that I provided. So it shows here that the version installed right here is 16.7.10, which is the latest version of iOS for this device. Oh, someone just joined and left. And it also contains a build number, which will be one of the answers for the questions that I made. And also role user migration info. Yeah, Okay. And in backup state will contain some of the default apps right here. So you can see that these are mostly all, if not all of the default apps that are on an iPhone. So you'll see things like Find My Weather, Maps, Translate, and all that other stuff. And that should be one of the another one of the answers for the CTF. And backup system install this also shows the 32 apps from above. Mobile installation playlist doesn't do anything new for us. And so in these directories, the keybags directory and the keychains directory, it's authentication information for the phone. So for our first database of the day, let me open it here. It shows a bunch of keys, so we can find certification keys. And we can find other stuff in here. So information about the change tokens on the CK state. Current items, so you'll see that this stores all of our stuff by a UID. And a UID is very important in the realm of Apple forensics because everything that you see on your screen and everything that your phone interprets is interpreted in the form of a UUID. And that a UUID is a unique user identification. That is a number in the format of this. And you'll see as we go through it that these are used for everything. So we can open these KB files. They're called, yeah, they're keybag files, and yeah, we can't open them now, but just know that they contain data about cryptographic keys. Root. And so this Filesa app is one app that we use on jailbroken iPhones to see all of the data within the phone's operating or within the phone's file system. And that's very good, or that was very good for me when I was trying to learn some of these locations first, because at that time before I really had this computer that I was using, I was doing it on Windows, and Windows didn't have a good ability for me to search for files in certain apps. And so yeah, that's under lib. And so under log and logs, you can you can probably see files that are logs. So for instance, you'll see right here with this launchd.log service tab created. You see all this information about created application states and created app processes and denied lookup WebKit. And yeah, you can make sense of this on your own time, but yeah, there's more logs here. And yeah, so in essence, there are more logs here. So in this lockdown D, it's the process for locking locking things down, locking things in. Yeah, so and it marks the phone based on something like this, the iPhone model name. So in this case, we're iPhone model 10, comma 2. And you'll see later on examples of other iPhones and what they are. Eugene. I saw I missed something. Local keychain. Keychains, analytics, local keychain. So in this one, in this local keychains, we have notes. There's not much here. There's samples. It's all failures. And private file keychains, analytics, local keychains.db. Samples. Okay, that's not right. What I seen there, what I marked down on my sheet for that is not correct. I made a mistake. Okay, we'll probably be able to find that somewhere else. Um, Private from all the documents. So manage preferences, mobile.com.apple.web content filter. Okay, that's nothing for us. So now, when we get down to the nitty-gritty of things, this mobile directory is going to be where most of the important app data that we have is stored. So under this containers data, and in some cases, this shared folder right here, there's going shared app group. There's going to be UUIDs for all kinds of apps here, and UUIDs for a bunch of, or all of the apps here. And you'll be able to see that there's a whole lot of stuff that we can find from the apps themselves. And after that, there's also a folder called library, which can contain a lot of other stuff. And this is related to some of the Apple apps and a lot of the processes related to those apps and to the system itself. For instance, the App Store state information and about activities that we would want to see in this knowledge C database. And using this along with other things in places like the Z object place right here can help us to find out what activities were going on. So again, you see right here this column with UUID, and there's also a stream name here. So you can have event types called tombstones. You can have stuff for app usage, web usage. You can just have general usage stuff, tombstones, and you can have now playing for media like music, videos, TV shows, and other stuff that may be played for media files. And yeah, you get it for the most part. So this value string can contain an app or app process. So for instance, sometimes music was playing here. Yeah, and other times apps like Duolingo were being played as well as a bunch of other stuff. And you may also see UUIDs for apps that you'll have to verify by yourself later on. Actually, let me give you an example of what I shared earlier about histogram value, about extracting blobs. So custom comment data, key value. So in this case, in this table with keys and values from These are certain indicators of process. So if you see something like this right here is the file signature of a plist file, a binary plist file. So what you're gonna do is go to this button up here, which is to save it. And you want to mark this towards, that. I'm gonna save it under my downloads folder. And for this one, I'm going to call it register database. Register database dot plist. And then if I go up to my downloads folder here, we'll be able to get registered database dot plist. And we'll be able to see what it has inside of it. Well, in this case, this was just an example, but I'm sure in other places you'll be able to find better data here. You'll be able to find better data here that you can actually understand. Yeah, so, and that was an example of extracting a blob data from a plist file or from a database. And so now let's go back here to some interesting data. So you'll see another thing about FileZilla. And so we have scripts and we have finance, health, and other things. Okay, so under mail, now we have mail. So this shares all of the emails that we will have on envelope and so your mail stores and mail data, message data, 1, 2. You'll see there's lots of emails saved on here. And you could look through some of those on your own, but I'm not going to say that. Accounts. This apparently doesn't show any accounts, no attachments. And so if you wanted to look at a person's mail, if we were looking at this database, or the envelope index database, you'll be able to see a lot of things like message attachments. So you'll be able to find that. You'll be able to find attachments, message data, message metadata, messages. And so in this case, if you're going through messages and you saw one that, or actually would probably go through messages, message metadata, mail. Actually, now I'm actually getting confused with this because this one might have had mail right here and at least messages. External original mailbox, span indicator. Well, actually, better yet, let me see. Envelope metadata.plist. Protected index. Um, I'm not going to save this one. So actually, this protected index one holds some more information. So in this case, we see a bunch of names and email addresses related to those names. And those were all the things that were sent. So band indicators, protected, message links, results, brand indicators. Okay. So yeah, I'm still a bit confused about why this envelope index is not holding any messages. Because it should be holding messages. Okay, so we see that here in this one that blobs all playlists in this folder, in this cache folder. So in this case, this will deal with sending and receiving data from servers. And that's enough of that. I want to go on to something else now. So now on to notes. There are several notes on this phone. And so you'll see some of the notes that this phone has. Z note, Z note attachment, Z note body. Z note change. Things that were changed about this note. And so yeah, information about notes, and we'll go into later where to find some of the notes on this phone. So information about how photos are stored. Okay, actually a photos library. And for some very important data for those of you who search the web, Safari, the Safari folder holds data related to Safari web data. So some tabs, maybe we'll go into browser state first. Browser state shows all of the browser windows open. And some tabs. Okay, and this is the most recent. Apparently it still shows this one. That tab is gone, I think. Yeah, so anyways, these are tabs that are on the phone. On the phone Safari app. And so if we would open Safari tabs, we get a list of keywords that can be on the Safari tab. Generations, folder structure. Okay, I know what you've all been waiting for to see a little bit about history of the phone. So now when we go into history, history events, we see no history events here. And we see a bunch of things related to history. And if we go all the way down, there's some more interesting history data here. So we can see here history data from Google and other places. Books, Google, and some music, some Reddit, and other stuff. Apparently it cut off because when I was gathering some of this data, a few days ago, before I made the image, I went to a whole lot more sites, and I think more sites should be here. History, items, two tags. And with this history items, you can cross-reference some of the tags to their timestamp and see what they are. So yeah. Oh, and I think history visits is where I saw a lot more data. So in the history visits, we see the titles of all of the pages that were visited. And so there's a lot more activity here from this because it literally shows all of the pages that were read. So you'll see some research right here and a whole bunch of Google Translate because I use this phone on a daily basis. And not to do anything special, but for a certain task that I do in my mornings. Okay. And actually, while I go here to check out some other data from further up here in the biome, biome streams, public. And so one thing about this folder right here, this biome folder, will show app activity data in the form of a segbee file. And so let's go to app launch, which you've probably seen before if you went to last week's. So the full path is one of these. I forget which one, but we'll see. Okay, so yeah, it was this one. So when we look at a segbee file, we're gonna have a file signature up here like this one, actually. Better yet, let me select this and open it in XXD. Copy that. XXD. How are you guys doing with the questions up there? Up there in the room, and for those of you guys on the chat, how have you guys been able to fare with those questions?
Matt, do you have answers for those at all that we could check afterwards?
Yes, I do.
Sounds good. So if for those of you who are working on the questions, you'll be able to check it afterwards. For the question in chat, yeah,
Hmm.
video will be updated on YouTube. So
XXD.
this might come to no surprise, but when it comes to forensics related CTFs, it'll ask you different questions about data within the image, and your goal would be to try and figure out what the user was doing or what happened, where finding specific details of certain events within like the image log. So hopefully this activity is a good kind of activity for that, or like a demonstration for that. But that's basically the gist of what we're gonna try and what we're basically doing. And to tie it back into like the real world, you'll even though we might not want specific details, we want to be able to navigate through like a forensics file, assuming that the image that we have is copied from a actual device. So hopefully this is helpful so far, and I'll let Matt continue.
Yes, and to piggyback off of what Brad is saying right now about the questions, I do have the answers to the questions right here on my third screen in the room right now, which is my other laptop, and I will share these answers with you guys later on. And but on the Excel sheet that I have the answers on, I think I have like box 6 or 7 cells under a location column. 6 or 7 cells of that are blank, and some of those are within iLeap. So you'd have to look for those in iLeap and process them that way. And yeah, so let's move on with this. So when we're looking at a SegB file under our biome, this will show us some app activities that were happening. So, and in its file signature here, what identifies it towards the phone when the phone makes it is this SegB right here. And then there are some extra bits. Yeah, if I remember correctly, some of these bits there will be this will either be a 0 or a 1, and that will show us whether it's version 1 or version 2 of SegB. In this case, all the versions of SegB on this phone will be SegB v1, because this is on iOS 16 and SegB v2 is on iOS 17 and beyond. And so up here, this is the name of the file that we have opened. And yeah. Uh, Actually, better yet, let me copy. Let me cheat. Let me. XXD. How about I do hit 19? in. Bring in the right one. So yeah, that should give us 19 lines, and we'll be able to see here that when this was taken from the phone, Apple.Springboard there was activity from the app switcher as well as Duolingo. So in this case, I think what I was doing with the phone when this was taken is I was, I might have been, or when this was taken, I wasn't doing anything with the phone, but when this file was captured, I should say. Actually, I don't know if it's at the top or at the bottom. But so in the case of this, if this was at the top, I was switching from another app. So I used the multitasking shortcut to switch from another app to the Duolingo app. But at if it's at the time if at the time it was taken at the top of the file, yeah, actually, it will probably be that when this was taken, this was at the end. This was some of the oldest stuff. And so it might have been that I switched from another app into the Duolingo app. And yeah, that was kind of a hard thing to say. But anyway, yeah, this biome folder contains a lot of folders with apps and processes on them. And you can find all of the data about activities in apps that can and most likely will be related to this knowledge seed database as well. And a little bit of backstory behind Knowledge Sea is that in previous versions of iOS, Knowledge Sea had a lot of the biome data within it. But after iOS 15, the biome or Apple made the biome and the Knowledge Sea separate. So now all of this data here in the biome streams is separate from the Knowledge Sea and is able to be seen separately and a whole lot more, and it's a whole lot better for us. Now, mobile document screen picture. Mobile document. So let's go to so now under documents, this can show us documents that were saved on the phone. So these may have been pulled down from Apple or from iCloud or just saved under documents for some apparent reason rather than downloads or from an iTunes backup. And, and I think one of the answers to the questions I put up there is in one of these files in documents. And I'll let you find that on your own. And this one doesn't seem to have any downloads on it. And so going back to it under library. And under our library, and we already went through that, mobile software update. Var mobile media. And after library comes media. So media has downloads like purchases of songs and data from songs. So this here is one of the pictures that I have that was an album artwork for one of the songs that I wanted to download and listen to. And these are all for songs too. And yeah, this doesn't have much. Yeah, but basically these are all the songs. And there are also some podcasts in here that were downloaded that don't seem to have any information about them on this plist file. Okay, that one. Huh.
This is the Jocko Underground podcast number 136, sitting here with Echo Charles. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so these are actually downloaded audio files in either M4A format or MP3. No photos. And then under downloads, you can see this database right here, SQLite DB. No. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm using a trackpad and sometimes it's hard for me to drag things up fully with the trackpad. No. Control Z. Okay, don't save. So in this case, there will be a name of the download if things were downloaded, finished download, right here, persistent download if it kept on being downloaded pre-order. And yeah, nothing here, nothing here. And DCIM is really cool. So this DCIM place is one place you might recognize, and this is where all of the images from the phone are stored. And so you can see a bunch of images that were taken on the phone. And mostly from Duolingo. I use that a lot. I used it every day. And under iTunes Control is what controls all of the data for iTunes. So in this case, iTunes CDB. And this one so happens to be locked. iTunes control database. And under media library.sqlite. Okay, 20 still have time. I have about 20 to
Hey,
30
Matt,
minutes.
can I ask you a question?
What's up?
So if the file is encrypted, like the But when you have the four, is there no way to like see what's inside?
I haven't tested it. Maybe you might need to password a device, or there's some kind of encryption key hidden somewhere.
So
You
you
need
just
to
have to
look
look.
into that. Look into find where the encryption key is.
Okay. But is it on the image somewhere?
It might be. Okay, composer. So this will show everything, data about everything from movies on the image to items like music, podcasts, videos, and other stuff like that that iTunes has lists of. So first off, right here for items, it shows PIDs, and these PIDs can be cross-referenced with item artist, for instance, to all these names right here. To find the artists of them, and item extra, this is all the data, like sort title, the location of it, its file size, and copyright if necessary. And yeah, you see all the names of the stuff there. And now we have play counts, which there was 17 tracks. So, so the funny thing about this one is I thought they would audio track ID. So I have a total of 17 tracks on this phone, 8 from one album and 8 from another album, as well as the one with the album artwork that I showed a little bit of on screen earlier. And when I was going through this on my own time to just look at what I wanted to look at, I found this one, and I noticed that there's nothing here. There's nothing really here to identify song actually, what songs or other stuff that these items actually are on this playlist. And that
What's
is
the
really confusing to me. What? What?
persistent ID? Is that related to like what it might be? Is it like
Yeah, I didn't think of that persistent ID.
I'm not sure what it is though, because it looks like it's an array. Like there's a whole bunch of different numbers there, so I'm not sure what it could represent.
You know, it's a number.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what that might be?
Yeah, persistent ID is probably just like some. You don't know, that's a good question. I'd have to look into that too, because I'm absolutely not sure about that. Yeah, but back up. Let's get back on track because I don't have that much time left. FPD. I don't know what that one is. And music has chunks of. Yeah, music should have chunks of music files. Device. And yeah, this is another encrypted file. I found something interesting somewhere that I'm not able to find today. Espresso. And books would store stuff from iBooks that were bought. And we're waiting for the library. So for now, that's the end of media. And so under mobile software update, the restore.log would show restore points such as let me read through this. Yes, stuff about restore information. Actually, that would be bad if I don't go through these. And we'll have forgotten to go through these. So app group or the apps themselves are all of the UUIDs of the apps. So if you're looking for apps, it would be best to use the search feature up here or in your Windows machine to find things in in the image. And oh, I should mention for you guys, if you're looking at this on Windows, these paths can get very long. So if you see a file that you want to look at, just make a copy of it somewhere else. If you're in one of these folders, just make a copy of that file and put it somewhere else so that you can actually open it. Because sometimes those files show that it's not accessible in Windows. Since these paths are super long, UIDs take up a lot of characters.
I didn't catch it. Is there anything else you want to show us? I don't know if if you said that was the end of it.
Oh no, that was not the end of it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So what I was saying is that these UIDs contribute to a very long path right here. You see on my system, it's like very deep. And if we go into something like, let's look at, let's look at this one for instance. So this one is pretty darn long. Okay, documents, data. Okay, no, that's the wrong one. Okay, yeah, so that's the one from this phone, not from the app on my computer, but anyway. So this file path is very long, and for some of the playlists in this, let me go to this one. I think it's under library preferences. So if the name is long like this one, that could contribute to your Windows system not being able to read it because it'll say something along the lines of that it's not accessible, and that will be because your Windows file system can only read a file path of less than 256 characters. By the way, less creation timestamp. Yeah. And I guess since we are in the Duolingo folder, yeah, I'll show you about how some apps can store their data. Zendesk. So if you've used the Duolingo app before, there's a lot of features in it. such as a leaderboard, a friend's leaderboard, and even a friend's future social networking, as well as some of the other games within the app. I will, and so some of the ones that I've shown deal with that. 27 dual and um, select view level. Zendesk, app rating, avatar builder. Duolingo mobile player playlist. So many apps will probably have some sort of plist like this that stores data about every single feature of it. That's a weird one. And you can track through it. This is not important. And you can find things like user IDs for the user. In this case, my user ID is this. Time to enable. And yeah, that's cool. And while I'm in this, it's pretty fun. This was something interesting to me since I use the app a lot. I think it's under support. I haven't done this in a while. So my French score is 63. Where can I find that? Yeah, so that's control command. So Duolingo stores most of its data within a JSON packet. And this was an interesting thing that I was looking for since I'm a forensics person and I use this app a lot and I'm very interested to know how they store their data within it. So I was doing the checking for this, and one of the courses that I've been doing for a while but haven't finished at this point is the French course, and I'm about halfway through it, and or as of this point I'm halfway through it, but they're working on more, so I'll be less than halfway through it, less than about halfway through it, but still close. But so anyway, my score is 63 because I'm about almost halfway through it. And so this number would go up based on how many units you do. And yeah, how many units you do. This would align with intermediate French, but I haven't practiced in a while, so some of that skill may have decreased. Google mobile ads, mega sessions, excellent. And then under documents, we have stories. So one of the features of Duolingo that I really like is the story. And in the story, it's text and it's for text and
Mais maintenant, tu peux me donner
text
cette
and
chemise.
speech just like that. Let me pause that. I was supposed to pause that. Yeah, it's text and speech, like you'll see. And so this text that this speech that I played will be played at the same time as text. And you'll be reading it and hear it spoken to you as well, so that you have better comprehension of it. User client. ELNLAPL. So these are all the languages that I've taken a look at under Duolingo. And so in this case, this here would show all of the things within the course, all of the intro to progression. Talk about old habits. So it would show all the unit titles and all of the units, how and the progress through each of the units that the user has. And it even has the units at the end of it. Turkey to English. And then in this one under user subscriptions, we have all of the subscription statuses for, I believe, the people on my friends list that I have added to the friends list. And actually, so that I won't be doing this too much, I just have to say that there's a lot of stuff that you can find here, a lot of interesting information, such as the sentence mistakes that are made, as well as the daily challenges that I've completed on the day that this was taken, among other things. And that will be interesting to find. So let's go back to where we were at. And actually, for some of the data in this image, before I release the answers, if you're having trouble with any of it, you may need to be smart with some of the locations in the places that I've shown you, that you look for them in, or if you just default to iLeap, that would also be a good strategy, because the tables in iLeap show a lot of stuff in them. But now I think since we have only 20 minutes left, I'll go over a few of the other places. So now this preferences folder shows a bunch of preference list or plist files. For instance, some about the networking service that we have here, which you might look at if you want to see about networking information whether some certain networking properties were turned on or being used or whatever. And actually, all of these seem to be related to network, battery data, and wireless. So this one seems to be the battery serial number. There was no biometrics associated with this, but discharging. And so this is about battery discharging, how that looks. And so for wireless data, if you want to look at wireless data, I think you go under, no, under library, LASD. Okay, that doesn't have anything to it. Wireless. Persistent.db, persistent. Okay, so actually under network, net usage.sqlite is going to be some of the data that I thought I would find in wireless. But it seems that I don't remember the database file in that folder. So zflow shows apparently nothing in this one. And live usage, what live usage does for us is it shows packets that went through and some of the time stamps. So it's worth noting that timestamps here we can go ahead and decode timestamps in this by going to something like I'll type in something on and then if you guys are seeing this page, you can just paste whatever date and time information into this. Then it should be accurate enough if you go ahead and do that. And you'll see this date. You'll see a date like this right here. And so that should be accurate to the time that it was made. And there's other stuff that you could Probably check out here at 46. And you know what? I think I want to close this off at this point by talking a little bit about iLeap. So here in iLeap, there's some interesting, nope, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to go back. So there's some interesting things like it shows the app intent, some app intents that it found. And so this was from, I would think it's something that would be reflected in the knowledge C database that I showed you guys. But yeah, it's something still in the biome, as you can see in this file path right here. And in a bunch of places, the tables say the seg-b state is deleted. And in this table, I think everything is deleted. So in some cases, this is not helpful. But then you'll see in this case, some things are being played by the speaker. So this is an instrumental song that I have from one of the albums that I mentioned earlier. And these instrumentals are being played at some point, or which is during this date, they were being played in Biome Safari. Holds some information about the history from Safari. So I think there's a couple of questions on the Safari that you can find easily from here, or the database in Safari, or the Safari database in the history. And this is Biome Sync. You could probably find an answer here to something. There's probably something here. Map title cache.
What's the Discord one? Like the left side? I
Oh, the Discord one, which one is that?
think it's above geolocation.
Oh, I thought I read a question on Discord. So Discord account will show us the email of the user and the user ID. And Discord messages shows all of the Discord messages seen, and in some cases, all of the Discord messages that we wrote. So in this case, it saw one of the announcements that I made on the Fast Discord server. And a lot of announcements, yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's also part of other servers, so yeah, this stores pretty much everything that you might want. And I think this one shows the answer to one of the questions that I put. Wired headphones, so yeah. It shows data about headphone usage, provenances, and other stuff. And so should I give it just 5 more minutes of going down this list, Brad, before we call it?
5 more minutes of what? Sorry.
You said 5 more minutes of going down whatever this iLeap has on it.
If you want, we can. Or we could just also wrap things up now. I'll leave it up to you.
Media now playing, so yeah. This is another way of seeing the media right here, the media that you've been. Oh, shuck. So you'll see this is a better way of seeing what's playing than the list that we saw before on one of the other ones before. iOS 16 and weather applications, so yeah. Weather applications, activation logs.
Are you gonna go over the questions themselves, or are you gonna post the answers to them?
Yeah, I'll end up posting the answers once I clean up my sheet.
Breeze. Do you want to do anything else before wrapping up? I'll probably just wrap it up here and then we can close things off.
So yeah, should I just say again to them that I'll post these answers just so that you guys can make sure that you understood what I was doing and where these things actually were held. And so yeah, to the 25 questions, I have answers, and I should probably also put some file paths if you're not going through iLeap. Just file paths on their own. And yeah, I think that's about it for me.
All right, thank you so much, Matt. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I know we went over a lot of things, but hopefully this was insightful and helpful one way or another. We'll have the recording out hopefully later today. So if you wanted to look back at anything else that we did, you could go take a look at the YouTube/Discord as well. Other than that, I think that's gonna be it. Thank you guys so much for joining us for our last meeting, and I hope to see you guys next semester for another a great semester next time. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you right then. All right, thank you so much, Matt.
You're welcome. No screen.